Up next is called the silent epidemic, and half of the new cases in Boston affect Asians. It's hepatitis B, and we'll tell you what one group is doing about it. Plus, the philanthropist Asuko Toko Fish will talk about a group she founded, the Japanese Women's Leadership Initiative. Plus, we'll meet two of those fellows. I'm Mary Sitt. Join me next on Asian Focus. Good morning and welcome to Asian Focus. I'm Mary Sitt. Roughly 350 million people worldwide suffer from chronic hepatitis B, and 170 million people have chronic hepatitis C. Most people don't even know they're infected. Here in Boston, Asians represent less than 10% of the total population, yet they account for more than half of new chronic hepatitis B cases. Here to tell us more about this silent epidemic is Dr. Salim Kabawat, Medical Director of Quest Diagnostics Cambridge Laboratory. He's joined by pre-med student and MIT graduate Sasha Targ, President of Team HBV at MIT. Team HBV is a collaboration of collegiate chapters, high school chapters, and local volunteers raising awareness about hepatitis B. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you, Mary, for inviting us. Raising awareness about hepatitis B is very important.
Okay, first of all, what is it and how did you get it?
Hepatitis B is an infection of the liver.
Okay.
It is a viral infection. It's a virus that targets liver cells and destroys them. We're talking here about chronic hepatitis B. Okay. It's a silent killer. Many people who have it. Most people who have it don't have any symptoms, and by the time they discover it, it's too late. It can cause severe complications, including development of liver cancer.
So it's very serious.
It is.
And why do so many Asians in Boston have it?
Yeah, so we're not exactly sure why. Hepatitis B is a huge issue worldwide, and the most common method of transmission is actually from mother to child.
Okay.
In the U.S., we've had infant vaccination programs since 1991, but that's not common in other parts of the world. So that could be one big factor.
So we have immigrant Asian moms coming to Boston maybe, and then they don't have that vaccination program?
Right, exactly. Not everyone knows that it is so important to be tested and take measures to protect their children.
Now, one of the ways that you two tried to raise awareness in the Boston area is to have this, to break the Guinness World Record. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah, sure. So this past summer, we actually were part of a worldwide effort to set the record for the most people doing this see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil actions.
Okay, now we have a picture of this, all of you guys doing that. Let's take a look at this picture. And you did this at the Boston Common. Oh, here it is. Okay. So you just stood there and did this in front of a bunch of people?
Yeah, that's right. We got over 100 people together to do that. And actually, worldwide, 12,588 people did these actions in a 24-hour period. And we chose the theme to actually highlight how hepatitis B really doesn't receive nearly as much attention as it should worldwide. But we're really looking forward to this upcoming World Hepatitis Day, and hopefully we'll get even more people to come out and show their support.
Okay, so hepatitis B is spread by a mother. The most common transmission is from mother to child, but what are other ways people can get it?
It is a blood-borne pathogen, meaning it is transferred by blood. So mother to child is the most common in Asia. However, in other places it can be from sharing needles, for instance. It's also sexually transmitted.
Okay, and most people can have it and not even be aware of it, and so that's why you offer free screenings, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Most infected patients look and feel completely healthy, but a screening test can identify both whether they have the virus and beyond that, whether you have immunity or not. So for patients who are not infected with the virus but also don't have immunity, we would recommend them to go see their doctor and get vaccinated.
Now, when you did these free screenings for students, what kind of reactions did you get from the kids?
We definitely got mixed reactions.
Because it involves a blood draw, right?
Right, it is a blood draw.
Right.
We make sure to include education as one part of all of our programs. So regardless of whether people ultimately opt for the blood test, at the very least, they know more about hepatitis B and what measures they can take if they do want to be protected.
I mean, obviously, we have to reassure them that this is really a simple blood test. We just draw blood and take it to our lab at Quest Diagnostics in Cambridge. And we look for two things. We look for the virus itself, its presence or absence. And we also look for the immunity to the virus. Now, if somebody has the virus, then we tell them to go to their doctor and seek treatment, because early treatment can prevent severe complications. If they don't have the virus, then we look for immunity too. And if they don't have immunity to the virus, then we tell them also to go to their doctor and get the vaccine, because if you are vaccinated, then you are protected for life from acquiring such a severe infection.
Oh, I thought there was like a vaccination for like 10 years, but that's something else maybe.
Well, obviously, the immunity decreases over the years, but in many instances, one vaccine is enough for life. If not, one could receive what we call a booster dose. That means another vaccination at an older age.
Well, should everyone be screened then as part of best practices and part of your yearly physical? Even if you're not like, quote, high risk?
Yeah, we definitely recommend screening. For people born after infant vaccination, it's probably not as big of a problem. But definitely within our student group, we try to make sure people know to tell their parents or grandparents and aunts and uncles about hepatitis B, because for those groups, it could really be a big problem.
Now, you were telling me earlier that you were a biology student at MIT and you didn't know much about hepatitis B, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I actually hadn't heard of hepatitis B when I first came to college. And the way I got involved with this group is I received an email. And volunteering at my first event, I realized that this is a huge issue. And if I'm a student at MIT studying biology and I don't know about it, there are probably a lot of other people out there who really need to be informed.
What are some other ways that both of you are trying to do to raise awareness about this? Do you use social media, or what kinds of things are you doing?
Yes, indeed. We do have a website, teamhpv.org/Boston. So there are videos there that one could watch, and we're spreading the word among students. We're getting a lot of enthusiasm from Harvard and MIT students. Those are where the two teams are, Team HPV, and it's getting larger and larger of an effort there to spread awareness.
What's the difference between hepatitis A, B, and C? Can you tell me that?
They're different viruses. A is a totally different virus. It's transmitted by food. It has nothing to do with what we're doing. It's B and C are similar in that they are transmitted by blood.
Are those like the really dangerous things that can lead to cancer?
Yes, both of them do lead to chronic disease, chronic hepatitis, and liver cancer. Hepatitis B has a vaccine, fortunately, so it can be protected from by taking the vaccine. C does not have a vaccine. Both of them have treatments. C is curable. B, the treatment tends to ameliorate the situation but does not cure it in most instances. So there are differences, but this effort here is to concentrate on hepatitis B.
Okay. And how many people are on your team helping you out, spreading the word among college kids?
So Team HPV is actually a national effort. So there are 25 chapters across the U.S. And actually, I think 2 or 3 are being piloted in China.
Oh, that's
so
great.
It's really a huge effort. Between Harvard and MIT, we're getting more and more students each year. So we're really looking forward to expanding.
That's great. Well, best of luck in your campaign. Thank you so much, both of you, being with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, how do you encourage and nurture young Japanese women to become strong leaders? You start a fellowship program, and that's exactly what our next guest did. We'll talk with the most highly recognized Japanese woman in Boston working for social causes, Atsuko Toko Fish. Stay with us. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan awarded its 2012 Foreign Ministers Commendation to our next guest, recognizing her contributions to Japanese-U.S. relations. Atsuko Toko Fish is perhaps the city's most recognized Japanese woman working for social causes. She served as an advisor to the governor of Massachusetts on tourism, economic development, and trade between Japan and the United States from 1985 to 1992. She's also a philanthropist and trustee of the Fish Family Foundation, and today she's here to talk about a group she founded, the Japanese Women's Leadership Initiative. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Mary.
And congratulations on that very prestigious award last fall.
Thank you so much.
Okay, tell me about this initiative. Why did you start something like this, the Japanese Women's Leadership Initiative?
Well, as you know, I remember you have lived in Japan, and Japan is a development country. However, women's leadership is very, very behind. Actually, I just give you numbers recently on the newspaper. 47% of industry, America, women working, and then in America, executive level women is 42%. Okay. And Japanese women, 42% working, and then percentage of director level, executive level is only 10%.
Wow.
So that's the problem in Japan. So I recognize and I thought women need leadership training.
So every year you get 4 fellows,
right,
and they come over to the United States for about 4 weeks or so, and then they go back and forth, and they go to Japan and have seminars and workshops. Is that right?
Right. Yes.
Let's take a look at some pictures you brought with you to see what some of the things you do here. This is a workshop in Japan. And is it really hard for women? It is hard for women to be leaders in business in Japan. Is that right? And, and why is it so difficult?
Well, it's traditionally, historically, it's a male-dominated culture in Japan, and the women is not being taught to be a sort of sticking out and leading society or community.
Are they taught to just sort of blend in and do things for the good of the group?
Nowadays, of course, it's been changing, but still, women's role is stay home, take care of the children. Now, even 42% the working labor forces women, but only 10% is the executive level.
So there's a pretty big glass ceiling there.
Oh,
and this is one of the cities in Japan, right?
Right,
where you have
yes,
seminars.
we had a seminar there.
And there's another picture, I think, coming up. So who funds this initiative? Here's a workshop you have coming up here. Who funds the initiative that you have?
Well, I am a trustee of small family called Fish Family Foundation.
So, okay, so the foundation
so we
helps.
are funding.
Okay, and can you tell me how competitive it is to get a fellowship like this?
Well, as I have said, traditionally women are not so interested in leadership positions. So when I started 7 years ago, there wasn't so much interest. But ironically, 2011 we had a disaster.
Yes.
And then after that, society recognized there is a lot women can do. So last year, 2012, we had absolutely competitive best quality fellow, and I'm very proud and pleased.
So you have pictures of the 4 fellows of 2012. Let's take a look at, okay, who is this one?
This is Noelle, and she works for NTT Docomo telecommunication company.
Okay.
And this is Rika. She's a journalist, and she's an associate professor and teaching sociology. And this is Kiyono. She's the founder of a non-profit organization for mothers and children. And this is Shima. She's a psychotherapist working for National Hospital.
And we're going to get to meet 2 of these fellows in our next segment. You know, they all sound like they're very successful already in doing lots of things, but still it's hard for them to be leaders in Japan, even though they achieve a lot of things?
Even they have such a wonderful job, but still, you know, they are learning so much last year, and they are going to bringing back to a lot of important things, and then they are going to make a difference in Japan.
Can you tell me what sort of leadership skills do you try to teach them?
Well, basically we are trying to teach the non-profit leadership.
Okay.
And so that they can, particularly this last year, because of the disaster in Tohoku, so they can really be able to help the women in disaster area, and which is a women knows elderly care, child care, sickness, and women all knows everyday life what is important. So this is all about the non-profit, so they can do it easily, and there is a lot of needs there.
So would you say it's a lot easier for women to be leaders in nonprofits than it is in the business, in the corporations, for-profits?
Even in America, 50% of the non-profit leaders and presidents are women, because we all know